Live, sir.
Good morning, learners. Welcome to English Fall Pep. That is, today we are focusing on paper 2, as I have highlighted before. So we were having kind of technical problems yesterday. I hope that things will get better as we transition into this new space, that is Microsoft Teams. I hope that you are all good. So today we are doing part of paper 2, as I've highlighted. As you know, part of my teaching and learning style, I like to hear your perspectives around teaching and learning, as to what do you find to be very helpful, or what did you find to be helpful in the previous lessons. Is there anything that we can do differently, and how can we improve the quality of our teaching and learning? So again, I want you to DM me. I want you to send me email address. Sorry, to send me an email on my email address so that I can get to have a better understanding of those things. May I check if did you receive the slides from last week? Can I get that by thumbs up if you did? If not, I will set up a reminder. Okay, so I will continue. So I want to know, at the moment, are you reading any short stories? If you are reading any short stories, you'll have a better understanding of what we are talking about today. So, as I said, we're looking on paper 2, that is literature. That is, again, I want to know, what are your prescribed two genres at your school? Let me know by writing, or comment on the group as to what are the prescribed genres of short stories that you are reading at your school. You make sure that you read the pages, short notice stories as indicated, and then you summarize those in your words and look up for new words and write down the meaning on the words. Right. So we're going to do this short story. I'm looking for. Can you see, guys? I'm just checking if you are seeing this. So I want to give you time for about 15 minutes to go through the story. So please go through this short story. The title is No Witchcraft for Sale. Oh yes, I'm reminded again, sorry about that, that we have about a 90-second delay of response. So what I wanted you to do is to read this short story for about So guys, we are now reading the short story. I will go through it. So please try and read fast so that you can be able to get the sense of what the story is about. Remember, we are analyzing short story in terms of bringing out the content or the knowledge and understanding of what you are making sense of the story, and then there will be questions that relate to that. So we've done that. I'll try not to be fast. I'll move forward. Okay, I hear that you're still doing good, guys. Great. Okay, left with a few minutes. Okay, guys. I'm told we are doing okay. Right. Then I think this is the last. Right. Okay. All right. Then let me check what's being communicated to me. All right. Okay, I'm gonna move to the next slide. Okay, so we will share another screen. Great, we're good to go. Sorry about that. So we are doing where is this now? And show we want the share screen. Are you seeing the slides, guys? This is complicated. So I will just continue, and our technician will help me. So this is the kind of summary for No Witchcraft for Sale by Doris Lessing. So the summary, if you read that, the Fakars are a white family living in southern Rhodesia, whose only child, not seeing anything, sir. Okay, and now, sorry about that, guy. Share screen. No? Okay, thanks. So, No Witchcraft for Sale, that is by Doreen Lissing. So the Fakars are a white family living in southern Rhodesia, whose only child, Teddy, is a special favorite of their children, of their cook, that is Gideon. So Gideon watched sadly as the boy grows older and his attitude towards Gideon becomes more like a white man who expects African white people, including him, Gideon, to obey him, right? So one day a snake spits venom into Teddy's eyes. So Gideon runs into the bush to retrieve a native remedy, a root that will save Teddy's eyesight, right? And again, remember, our rule is always be acquainted with language, use of words and vocabulary. Native, it's a word that was used back in the days in the old colonial times to refer to people of color, black people, basically. So read that. And the word spreads of the miraculous recovery of Teddy, and the scientist comes inquiring about the root and asking for a sample. Remember, this is what we call the Western and traditional way of remedy. A remedy is any medication we use, but that is used to treat something or to heal something. But remedy in this context is used as a natural herb or something that is not scientifically kind of proven in the context of the story. So now what happens is that the scientist comes to hear about this remedy, this miraculous root, and asks for a sample to go and test it in the lab. And for more information is that for any medication or for any remedy to be used, at most of the time it's taken to the lab to be tested if it's going to work. They call it efficacy and all of those kind of things, right? So Gideon feels betrayed by the Fakars and refuses to cooperate. He leads them on a long hike, a wild goose chase, to discover common blue flowers. After some time passes, the Fakars and Gideon seem to reconcile their differences, but a rift remains between them. So the theme of what you find in this short story, a man reaches a crossroad between two cultures and must decide between his loyalty to his African heritage or that to his employer, right? So the crossroads, it's anything. Imagine when you come to a crossroad where there are two things that coincide between cultural values of what Gideon believes in and what his boss believed in. So it's quite conflicted in all of those things. This is the kind of theme that runs through the short story. So this happens at the time of colonial Africa. You must, again, for those who have done history or those who are interested in history, before we had kind of liberation and all of that, back in the days there were colonizers, that is people from Britain, people from the West or people from Europe who infiltrated our country or in Africa general. That process where colonizers came and dominated and took charge and control, it's called colonialism. So that is what happened, and what we see in this short story is the influence of colonialism in Africa, and we see within these two subjects, Gideon and the Fakar families and all of that. So the story is set during the colonial times, which explains the way things work in relation to this short story. So keep that in mind, the history of colonialization that happened when people from Britain came and owned our land. And again, these are the reasons why today in South Africa we have things of land debates. We have debates around decolonization, that is decolonizing knowledge, that is from the West, that is from in outside countries. So all of these things help us to think differently about decolonization. So now we are moving towards decolonization, but the context of this short story happens during colonial times. So the setting is in Southern Rhodesia. So keep these things, right? Keep the summary about what is going on in terms of the content. Keep the theme that runs through the short story. Keep the context. It happens during colonial times in Southern Rhodesia. That is now Zimbabwe. And if you can read more around the history of how colonization happened in Zimbabwe, you'll have a better understanding as well. So Teddy and Gideon are very close when Teddy is younger, right? So Gideon becomes distant with Teddy when Teddy mistreats one of Gideon's children in a very insensitive manner, right? So after Teddy has offended Gideon, he gives him an orange in apology. Think about that deeply. However, he is too proud to actually say he is sorry for the way he treated the other child, right? So now, what you find is conflict. So if there's an external conflict and there's an internal conflict, again, for your vocabulary, go and read what conflict means. It means here there's what is happening from the outside that influences the internal. So what is happening from the outside is that you find that Gideon is between the Fakars and the doctor. So there's that dance, and again, going back to the theme of what is currently happening in all of that. So again, there's an internal conflict within Gideon. So he's really struggling around this. So there's also what we call cultural alienation, right? A feeling of separation or isolation. So alienation is often associated with minorities, the poor, the unemployed, and the other groups who have limited power to bring about changes in society. What this means, it does the separation between separation or isolation, right? So if you think about the history of apartheid, back before we had democracy, there was so much of this separation and isolation that most black people were alienated by the system of the apartheid system on the basis of their race, on the basis of class differences and all of that. So there's kind of an interesting interaction between colonization and as well as apartheid, but that is something that is outside of this space. So keep these things in mind. The conflict, Teddy's attitude, Teddy and Gideon, the setting, colonial Africa, the theme, and what we have suggested or discussed, right? These are the things that I want you to keep in mind. Now, I'm going to move to the next slide, next exercise, sorry. Right, then we go to share slides, then we go to the questions. I'm looking for the questions. Right. Can they see the questions? I'm waiting for the response. Great, seems we're doing good. So now I'll leave these questions for you to make sense of them. And then also we'll add it as part of when we send you information so that you can engage with these questions. So, right. So these are the questions that relate to No Witchcraft for Sale. So you read from the Fakad had been childless. She raised his wages. So explain what the relationship was between the Fakads and their servants. Identify 3 words in paragraph 1. Refer to the lines and all of that. So I'll give you the chance to record these questions, and then again on my email address that Kat is going to send you, you will be able to respond there on my email, and we'll take it from there. Write the questions, right? And moving forward. You can just take screenshots quickly because we are out of time. We'll send the slides with the questions as well. But I want now to quickly go there, to go here. Let's go here on the desktop. And then I want to look at this. Remember, tomorrow we're starting a new feature. Let's see the pic. That is called Wednesday Motivation with Mr. Anele. So every Friday at 5, we'll have a chance where we talk about all things that have to do with psychology, with therapy, with motivation. I understand that some of you have worries, you've got anxiety. Some of you feel depressed. Some of you at one stage when life is difficult or when things were so hard, no siyagoisha and all of that. You'll have a chance to talk to me as a psychologist that can advise you, that can give you ideas about what you can do about all things that have to do with being young, with trying to understand the pressures that come with family expectations, pressures that come with having to do well at school, and all of those things. So tomorrow at 5, we'll have the chance where we all interact. So please send me an email if you've got any questions. So what will happen is that when you've got questions, you can send me and then I'll read them. Definitely you'll be anonymous and try to use that information and that problem as a way of helping you to deal with life challenges. So if you want to talk all things about depression, suicide, anxiety, how to stay motivated, and to keep up with life, catch me tomorrow at 5. Until next time, tomorrow, guys, cheers. Bye.